Remember that asteroid that wiped dinosaurs off the face of the Earth? Brace yourself, we might witness a similar scenario in our lifetimes. And this time, the consequences might even be more catastrophic. There's just one tiny difference. This new asteroid is likely to smack into the moon. No, this is not a sci-fi scenario anymore. There's this asteroid called 2024 YR4 that scientists say has about a 4% chance of hitting the moon in 2032. So what do we do? Try to gently shove it off course or blow it up? A bunch of researchers, including people from NASA, dug into this and suggested several options. Their worry is real. If that rock hits the moon, it could kick up a massive cloud of debris, and this cloud could spike to as much as 1,000 times normal levels for a few days. That's not just messy, it could endanger astronauts and satellites in low Earth orbit. One obvious idea is to nudge the asteroid so it misses the moon. Another is a full-on breakup. Basically, a deliberate explosion. Experts use a clever term to describe it, a robust disruption. But nuking an asteroid is totally untested. Nobody has ever done it before, and it carries huge risks. You could create a bunch of smaller but more dangerous fragments, or do something unexpected that can make things worse. In any case, the idea is out there for scientists to chew on. Now here's the backstory. 2024 YR4 was first spotted on December 27, 2024, and reported to the Minor Planet Center. That's the official hub that tracks all new asteroids and comets. Pretty soon, it showed up on NASA's Century Impact Risk Table, which is like the agency's watch list for any asteroid that could potentially hit Earth. For a little while, things looked sketchy. Out of 37,000 plus known large asteroids, YR4 was the only one with a real chance of smacking into Earth anytime soon. Its odds even climbed to a record 3.1%.
That might not sound like much to such amateurs as me and you, but in space terms, that's huge. Scientists were really paying attention. Luckily, after a few more months of better tracking and sharper observations, they nailed down the asteroid's orbit more precisely. Turns out its path isn't taking it anywhere near us after all. Its chance of hitting Earth has dropped so low it's basically zero now. So, we can breathe out and relax. Earth is safe. But the moon? Maybe not. And that's why researchers are now debating whether to blow the thing up before it ever gets close. The thing is, asteroid 2024 YR4 is pretty big. Based on what the James Webb Space Telescope saw, it's about 220 feet long, roughly the size of a 20-story building. Not exactly a pebble, I'd say. At first, NASA thought there was only around a 1.7% chance that YR4 would crash into the moon. But then, the Webb telescope checked again in March, and that number jumped to 3.8% right away. By May, it climbed once again. It was already sitting at about 4.3%. In other words, the more they looked, the more likely it seemed that this space rock might actually hit our natural satellite. On the bright side, these new observations helped NASA figure out where exactly the asteroid would be on December 22, 2032, with about 20% better accuracy. Now, if the asteroid really did smash into the moon, NASA says it wouldn't mess with its orbit or make it wobble or anything dramatic like that. And this is a very big but a hit from something that large would kick up a ton of debris. And that flying space junk could become a real problem for satellites orbiting Earth, or even for astronauts on the International Space Station. That sounds alarming enough. That's why the story might take a turn straight out of a sci-fi movie. Scientists are seriously considering blowing the asteroid up. But unlike in a movie, this isn't about saving Earth this time. The most extreme idea is to launch a bunch of nuclear explosives at the asteroid before it reaches the moon. The thinking is, if they can blow it to pieces while it's still far away, the debris will scatter safely into space instead of causing problems near Earth. But of course, there's the catch. While scientists know roughly how big YR4 is, they don't know exactly how much it weighs. And that's a huge problem. Without knowing its mass, space agencies can't design a precise mission to knock it off course. In theory, they could send out a reconnaissance spacecraft first, something to get close to the asteroid, measure it up, and figure out the best way to push it away. But researchers say there just isn't enough time. By the time we'd collect all the needed data and build the right hardware, it'd be too late to intercept the asteroid before the 2032 impact window. So instead of a gentle space nudge, some experts suggest going full Armageddon-style, that very robust disruption. Translated into human, it's blasting the asteroid apart with nuclear explosions. Sure enough, this idea comes with a massive risk. What if the explosion accidentally changes the asteroid's path and sends some fragments toward Earth? The researchers admit it's a possibility, but still think nuking it could be the most practical solution, given the circumstances. If the mission ever happens, it would need to launch sometime between 2029 and late 2031. This would give it just enough time to reach and intercept the asteroid before it gets too close to the moon. Now, nuking space rocks might sound over the top, but NASA actually has some experience with asteroid defense. Back in 2022, they pulled off something groundbreaking with their Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART. That mission was all about proving that humans could physically change an asteroid's path without using explosives. NASA launched a small spacecraft in November 2021, and after almost a year of travel, it crashed head-on into a tiny asteroid named Dimorphos at about 14,000 miles per hour. The idea was simple. If you hit an asteroid hard enough, you can slightly change its orbit, just enough to make it miss Earth someday. And it actually worked. The test showed that even a relatively small spacecraft could make a serious difference. Now, the European Space Agency wants to double-check exactly how much of an effect that crash had. In October 2024, they launched a follow-up spacecraft called Hera from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Hera's on a 2-year journey to reach Dimorphos and its bigger partner asteroid, Didymos. By October 2026, Hera will enter orbit around the asteroid pair and start collecting data, basically checking NASA's math. ESA scientists hope that once they analyze the impact site, they'll find out how effective DART was at changing the asteroid's trajectory. If it turns out that kinetic impact, aka smashing a spacecraft into an asteroid, works well enough, future missions might use that technique again. Maybe even for YR4, if it ever becomes a real threat. But if it doesn't, that's when the nuclear backup plan might come off the shelf. Either way, scientists are making sure that if a space rock ever threatens Earth or the Moon, humanity will have more than just a Hollywood script to rely on. By the way, people at NASA run what-if asteroid exercises every 2 years to get scientists, state agencies, and international experts on the same page. During such asteroid drills, experts pretend that a giant space rock is heading our way. Then they work through all the tricky questions they can come up with, like how big is it, where might it hit, what should we do? It's like a massive brainstorming session to make sure that if this ever happens, we won't be starting from scratch. To make these scenarios feel as real as possible, NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies gets involved. These are the folks who track real asteroids and calculate their orbits. So they simulate months of asteroid observations, complete with uncertainties about its size, trajectory, and potential impact zones. No one knows exactly how big the asteroid is or where it can hit. It's the kind of uncertainty that makes decision-making way harder, just like it would be in real life.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.